and through them with listening public, the scholarship offers to our students. Mr. Jim, it was a pleasure to once again, probably the first time for the new year to welcome you. So happy New Year. How are you?
Yeah, great. Happy New Year, Mr. Sterling.
Yeah.
January 31st, we're able to still say that.
I always tell people, you could see someone for the first time on December the 31st or December the 1st. Still happy New Year. And prayerfully that it'll be productive. It'll be one that not only is pensive, but one that is positive position to make sure that people understand the importance of what we're doing. And to see our young students here, not just with their enthusiasm. It could be because they're in the studio in our great presence. It could be that they're absent from school for a little bit. But I think it's because of the promise of what they see lying ahead in their contributions. And it's because of teachers, who nurture their minds. So welcome. I really appreciate it. Before we get to our students, though, please share as you wish. And then as we go on to your left, we can take the adults first and then get to the important people after.
Certainly.
All right. So share with us. It's commendable that we invest in our young people, not just through the education and the nurturing environment, but to instill in their mind that they have much promise and they have much that they can achieve once they find a purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, it is a Happy New Year. It's always a Happy New Year when we get to be surrounded by students. And we hear a lot in the news that students and children are different. They approach the world differently than we do as adults, and that's true. And we know that with our students today that they'll approach the world differently and indeed continue to make it a better place. So things like artificial intelligence, wondering about the opportunities and changing their jobs, careers multiple times, caring about wellness much more than maybe we have as adults in the past. These are things that our younger people will bring to our world in the future, including we live on an island surrounded by water, and the environment and sustainability is absolutely critical. So they're much more mindful than we are as adults. So it is a Happy New Year.
And not just semantics, and not just words that have become cliches, mindfulness, the idea of sustainable. As you were saying that, I was thinking to the song, make the world a better place. And that's what we should do. And if we do that, but it starts with us as parents and as educators in showing that we provide an environment that isn't just lip service. So
absolutely, I agree with you 100%. And I feel like that CIS embodies all of that. And we really strive for our students to find what makes them special and what they want to do to better not just Cayman, but the community at large. And I know we'll talk a little bit later about the scholarship opportunities that we have. And I think it's so encouraging and wonderful that we can provide those opportunities for Caymanians to come to our school.
Yeah, it's, I guess, a good segue to you, Doc, as maybe I ask you just to do a quick intro and remind our listeners, the idea of inclusion, another word that we use in many settings, but it's almost like the word being exclusive. I live in an exclusive community. Oh, this is an exclusive offering. It's the same word, but seriously, very different connotations. Put that mic close to you and sing into that mic.
Oh, you do not want me to sing.
All in favor of her singing? No. See, motion carries. I'll even join you. I'll sing back up. I'll be so far back you wouldn't hear me, so you sound better.
I say inclusion, but I really think belonging, and that is something that I feel our school definitely embodies, is the opportunity for students to feel not only that they're included, but that they belong there. So, yeah.
Belonging. I'll hear you and I raise you welcomed. How many of us actually feel we've been invited to something, but do we feel welcome? It's our family gathering. We even come home to our house. Do we feel welcome? Do we feel comfortable? Another word to use, safe. And I say that because this is not just about an English class getting into, wordplay. It's about a society understanding that we look in the mirror and some of us are taller than others, some of us look differently. But what was it, Shakespeare? Cut me not, do I not bleed?
Yes.
It's the same. And nothing better than having a student who understands that there's no limitations except what we place on ourselves.
Absolutely.
Cole, man, if I set up in a better for you, share with us, introduce as much as you want to share. Welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
Nervous?
A little bit. Yeah.
Good for you. I'm a lot nervous. So how are you not? Okay, see that's the confidence, man. Let me start by asking, if you could be anything, anyone, anywhere, what would it be? And this is not a Miss Universe question, okay? So you can get this right.
If I could be anything, I'd probably be a YouTuber and a social media influencer making lots of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I might actually do an assignment on that, but anyway. All right, why?
Why? I mean, I feel like in this in today's society that like I feel like it's just a great way to reach a wide audience and find people that are similar to you and cherish the same things as you.
I might want to ask you more about that. And publicly, never ever am I ever endeavoring to be disrespectful to anybody, even when I may be harsh and critical in the private settings, because then that puts people off. They never get a conversation, right? So that's not the premise. But because I can see the intellect there, and then as we pivot to your good colleague here who will tell you what you should be. What is good? Welcome. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I mean, look at me, tall, dark, and handsome. Muscular, beautiful green eyes, flowing curly hair. I mean, man, you sure you're not a creative writer? But life is about laughter, and laughter is about loving. So, to Cole's question, let me ask you, what would you be if you could be anything?
If I could be anything right now, I would like to find something I'm passionate about that I can carry into the future that will also make me successful. Something in my interests that I could keep doing for a long time, which will also bring me happiness, but also, of course, a future that's great.
So is it the Japanese ikigai? Purpose. You want something that's meaningful. What is it that we heard our parents say? If you find something that you love to do, you never go to work a day in your life.
Exactly.
See, books are very important. And there's a reason. I was doing physio earlier and trying to, if there's anything that, reminds me, humility before honor. So simple exercises that you can't do without great pain. And, you're not pushing through the pain. You're putting yourself and you're realizing you can do more if you allow your mind to not control mind over matter, right? Mm-hmm. So as we go into the break, they always say, the youth shall lead us. Mm-hmm. Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
No, honestly, I'm always thankful. I don't say that with any sense of being insincere. It's a genuineness. You get to wake up in Cayman. You get to wake up and you look around and you say, boy, it's really great. You have the option, since you were our last commenter before we go to the break. You can answer the question, or you can even pose one, or you can present something else. So the question was, if you could be anything, anyone, anywhere, what would you do?
I think I'll answer that question.
And 5 points to the lady. Okay.
I mean, for me, if I could really be anything in this moment in time, I would probably want to continue performing. I'm a person that has loved the performing arts, and I've been acting and singing since I was practically born.
Probably in the womb.
Yeah, I probably was.
Yeah, I can see it.
And it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm a person that believes that as long as you're happy doing what you do, that's what true success is.
Okay. Wow. Now you see, right? Two things. You want a job done right, ask a woman. Yeah. Hey, there's only 3 of us here, okay? There's 4 of them. All right, so let's go into the break, and when we come back, I thank you all for playing along. And this is what education is about. This is what, when our parents tell us, the best days of your lives are when you're in school. And as children, we don't believe that. Only until we start to work. Mm-hmm. And we realize that it's not work. It's a prisoner work release program. You get to leave a certain time to be back a certain time. Mm-hmm. It's true. All right. When we come back, got a couple of things that if you think this is inspiring, you check what our young people share with us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Yesterday,
today,
always and forever.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Office of Education Standards announces the successful completion of its comprehensive early childhood inspection framework. First steps to success, nurturing environments, and thriving children. This bespoke framework, written specifically for the unique needs of the early childhood sector in the Cayman Islands, aims to improve outcomes for children from birth to compulsory school age. In international news, Myanmar has handed over 3 Chinese warlords to Beijing, who were notorious for trafficking thousands of foreign nationals to forcibly run scams. They were taken to China on a chartered flight with 7 others. This is the latest twist in the stunning downfall of the military-backed Chinese mafia in Myanmar, and it's yet another blow for Myanmar's military regime, whose power is waning. Universal Music is set to pull its millions of songs from TikTok after a breakdown in talks over payments. The move would mean the social media platform would no longer have access to songs by artists including Taylor Swift, The Weeknd, and Drake. Universal accused TikTok of bullying and said it wanted to pay a fraction of the rate other social media sites do for access to its vast catalog. TikTok said Universal was presenting a, quote, false narrative and rhetoric. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands. The ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom. The land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Grand Cayman's biggest one-day family fun day is back. The 55th Cayman Islands Agricultural Society Agriculture Show at the Stacey Watler Agricultural Pavilion in Lower Valley. Ash Wednesday, February 14th. Cooking competition, pony rides, petting zoo, beautiful baby show, Miss Agriculture Queen and Princess competition, lots of local musical entertainment, Roscoe the Mechanical Bull, and so much more. Gates open at 7 a.m. with ample parking. General admission is only $10. Children ages 2 through 11, $5, and under 2 are free. For more information, visit them on Facebook or Instagram at Cayman Agriculture. The 55th Agriculture Show in Lower Valley, Ash Wednesday, February 14th.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it.
So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
The Justices of the Peace Association will continue offering JP service on the ground floor of the Government Administration Building on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, and is pleased to advise the public that starting Thursday, February 1st, JP service will also be offered on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 noon to 3 p.m. The association also wishes to remind members of the public who may need a counter-signatory when applying for a new or the renewal of a Cayman Islands or British passport of the importance of recognizing that a Justice of the Peace can only assist if he or she has known the passport applicant for a minimum of 2 years. Passport applicants are therefore reminded that other professionals can sign as a counter-signatory and should refer to guidance notes that are attached to the passport application form.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks again to our listeners for allowing me to be a little bit late in starting, and thank you for who reached out and said, hey, what's wrong? No, it wasn't the heavy cake that I ate that it was too heavy to lift. But I'll tell you more about it later. But thanks to the good folks over CIS for allowing us to chat, with them and to bring down the students. So Jim, as a director and as sometimes sort of the lead at times, we manage by motivating, we manage by example, but sometimes there are unmanageable expectations of parent as well as pupil. But in the Cayman context, to see a facility as offered by many, but in particular as we look at CIS, in a country geographically there's a postage-sized stamp on a map. Amount of people that we may complain of too much when it comes to traffic congestion, we put everybody in a good football stadium and there's still space for others. So it's still relatively small and it's manageable. But then to have our students be able to access something that probably would be the envy of many, you and your team have to be highly commended. So thanks very much. The Cayman Scholar, a fantastic offering. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, talking about access. For people. We're a small island, and sometimes it's easy to get to and from, and sometimes we're worlds apart from our viewpoints and how we work together. And the notion, since it is small and accessible as an island, that importance of access to any of the school programs, in particular our Cayman Scholarship Program for students in high school to be able to attend Cayman International Schools, high school is very, very important because we benefit from learning about each other and not just the people that we live nearby. And we benefit that much more from learning about people who see the world differently and to be able to talk about our differences and similarities. So because learning is a social experience. We can do it alone through the internet, through books, but to be able to share and grapple with it needs to be done together. So the Cayman Scholarship Program is designed to provide accessible opportunities to our program for people who may have less resources, yet still very interested in being in a program, or people who have particular a set of skills, I guess, like that movie character. When, for example, when Irene is talking about the passion for performing and sharing in music, those are critical things too. So the Cayman Scholarship Program is not just about academics. Obviously, that's really important. We are a school, so we want people to be well-rounded, with some spiky points, some things that really, a couple of things that really stick out. So you can do, master of many things, and then a couple of things where it's just that much special. We heard the passion of Irene with performing. We'll hear probably about Alina with a service, and Cole later on with student voice. And so those sticky points for passion are important. And so part of this Cayman Scholarship Program in our difficult work, in reviewing people who apply for the program, is how do we make sure we make the best decision for the students, for the families involved too, because it becomes a family endeavor, and to be able to take those passions and hopefully elevate them and amplify them to make people even that much better.
And academics sometimes is probably more important from the parents' perspective than the pressure is put on the student because of applications either for employment or further education. And yes, it's important, but I like what you shared, that we shouldn't focus, since we're more likely we are different, let's not focus on the differences, and let's understand the dynamic, the learning is not just intentional, it's not just continuous, but sometimes, like our friend always reminds me, it has to be, natural. It exists amongst people and it's constant. So with that perspective, though, if I may ask you, when we look at how students sometimes perceive education, it's this thing I have to do, they got to get up by this time, and there's homework, and there's all these things, and there's the push of the parent, and yet, as I said earlier, only when we become adults do we realize our parents were right. Wow, this was the best time of my life. It doesn't seem that way because they only see potential of what we as the adults have highlighted, the negatives, the way that the books, the expectations of the presentation in the class, the homework that has to be done, all these things that are, compulsory. They don't see it. So give us that perspective.
Well, I think at CIS, there is the partnership amongst the faculty and the students. And I really feel like we are blessed that we try to work with all of our students wherever they're coming from, or whatever. Some days you're going to have a great day and some days not so great. And I think everyone kind of takes that in stride to ensure that our students at the end of the day are successful, and most importantly, they want to be at school. That's the driving force at the end of the day. Kids need to want to actually be at school and want to learn and be with their friends and have a good, enjoyable time with each other. And I think that CIS does allow that to happen. And while listening to our students' voice and choice, and at the same time following, the normalcy of a school that you have to have also.
There are expectations from the education establishment, whether that's, the government, through its Ministry of Education or department, or whether that's sometimes the heavy pressure of the parent. What do you mean that there's no curriculum? What do you mean? We don't get it until it clicks sometimes long after. So, Doc, from that perspective, and when we look at bringing people along and students and have them not only be representative of the wider community, but sometimes they only begin to see some of the negatives because we, as the adult, sometimes unconsciously portray that. So that inclusion, that level of accommodation, the level of instruction that gets them to see that the lesson in the class, getting the mark on the test is great, but there's more to it. With that dynamic, given the scholarship program, if I may ask, allowing many who, for whatever reason, may not have the opportunity to access, it's just too far away, just a little bit beyond the family's budget. We exclude things based on perceptions without fully exploring the options.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that we provide at CIS to help students that potentially have some gaps is there are a lot of supports, right? So there's opportunities for tutoring, and there's opportunities for service through tutoring. So there are actually students who are excelling in a certain area, and they connect with their peers to be able to tutor and support each other. But further, in terms of that conversation about partnership that Rita and Jim talked about, is that partnership with the families, right? Of having those conversations with parents to understand what can we do to meet their students' needs, how can we accommodate them, and how can we make sure that they feel like they are included and belong as well. It's not just making sure that the students belong, but that the whole family feels like they belong as part of the community.
In that sense, I love the word you use. I may borrow that from now on. I never used it because in another jurisdiction, this notion from the immigration perspective of belonging was presented to me, and I interpreted it as such as being negative. But if you know your tribe, to whom you came out and say who you're from, where do you belong? If you carry with pride. So in your student body, as you were talking, I was casting our mind across the different grades and different students. We see this wonderful sea of students, and if they are able to meld, wow, what a way to represent a country. And that's the beauty of Cayman, all the 1,000 different nationalities singing in unison, respecting their own identities and their heritage, but really, really, sort of entrenched in the Caymanianness so that we look as one.
Cayman kind, right?
So cool. That kind of leads me, if I may ask of you, man. You talk about the importance of a student voice, and sometimes we would hear people saying to young people, well, stay in your lane, you're not there. And yet in education, we want to hear you both as part of the example and the exercise that you come before the class and you have a presentation. Everybody had that one where they come back from somewhere and tell me what you did. Show and tell when you were early on to eventually, you're in front of a board of directors. Those are the training, right? So how important is that voice of a young student in the school being able to express concern, lobby for something, and yet not be feeling as if you're disruptive?
Yeah, and I think at CIS we recently set up a student council, which I'm on. I'm the president of the student council, and I think it's very important for students to have the opportunity to get their ideas and their voices heard to admin, because I feel like a lot of students feel scared to go talk to our administrators, as much as they don't bite.
You sure? Things have changed.
I feel like students they have that fear of talking to their teachers. Yeah. So, and at CIS, like the student council, I feel like that kind of helps students come to another student first, so that we can help propose like solutions to their issues.
So you sort of mantra, being your brother's keeper. Peer to peer, your students have an issue about something. You can meet, decide, then figure out how best to make a presentation. But at times you may present, like if it was me in school, I would have come and say, hey, you know what, no school on Fridays. All right? That would have been my champion thing. Then the school says, good idea, but no. So you get to hear, well, no or not no. What does that do when the presentation is made, you're lobbying for something, but you don't get what you want, you don't get it the way you want it?
And I think, especially at CIS, like in my experience, we've been, the administration has been very open to talking with us, and sometimes we do find that we can meet in the middle. Sometimes we do get our way, and other times they just say no, and that's fine. Sometimes like rules can't change, and it sucks sometimes, but as students we have to kind of accept that and maybe find new solutions to those problems and then bring it up again.
Yeah. And maybe find a workaround, right? Not that I like the word, but not just a compromise, but understand that the party, no, we can't do this as much as we would like you not to have to come to school on Friday. You know what? You just have to, right? But there may be another reason. So, Ms. Alina, from that notion then, I'm always mindful to whom much is given, much is required. Could be time, your talent, and your treasure. Service, for some people, is mistaken for servitude. But what better way to be of service, to be of value of this? Why is that important, and why is it important to you?
To me, it's really important that CIS gives us so much opportunities to the students, but it's really important that we sometimes give some of those experience back to others. And there's so many different groups at CIS to find your interest. There's a lot of CIS, the teachers especially, inject a lot of independence on us, and although of course it can be challenging sometimes, they really want us to find something that we're passionate about that we can share with others. The school has groups where you can work with the environment, mental health, children in the community, different cancer societies. They find a way that you can find your passions to help others, which is really important because it keeps you engaged and you find value, and it's not a chore. It's something you look forward to going to do. I'm a part of a group where we all work with children, and I look forward every Thursday to working with these kids and growing and being a part of the community, because it's not just CIS.
No.
We are a part of a small but mighty island.
Hey, I love the sounds of that. And I think when you sit down thinking, one of the reasons why sports is so great, because you may go to different schools, you may even be a few years apart, but if you play in that sport, whether you're on the same team or not, you start to appreciate it, you start to build bonds. So if I may ask then, from that idea of service, is it then that it helps the student to potentially not only make that contribution, but find a career, to your point earlier, something that you love to do, and you don't feel like it's a chore, you don't feel like you're just going there for a paycheck, irrespective of how, lucrative that may be?
Of course, kids are asked at a young age what we want to do with our future, and it's tough, but by working with the community, you find your strengths, but also your weaknesses, because that's something you can work on as you grow up. And especially sports, working with a group, you find if you are someone who is a powerful leader, or if you like to follow others and support them. It's a great way to learn about yourself and others.
Yeah, it's still humility. You start to recognize that, you're working with another group. Sometimes you literally get your hands dirty because you're planting trees. Sometimes you exert yourself because that work is physical. You got to move boxes. But it reminds you that little thing can be so significant in a life and meaningful to the people or to the entity that you help.
Of course, and CIS does a great job of, it's something that the teachers, as a program, every child has to do a certain amount of service hours, but it's very common to see that even though it's only like 15 or 20 hours required, students go up to like 80 to 200 hours because it's something that they enjoy doing after a while.
And it probably helps them to appreciate the importance of time management. We all have, 24 hours in a day. I think some of the team here look like they got 40, but but you got to know. I mean, you can't be consumed because you're so invested in this thing to neglect the math homework, or your parents say, "Remember, you need to clean your room." You got to balance your time. All right. Well, Mr. Rena, perhaps if I can come back to you and ask, you talked about performing arts earlier, and for many, we don't feel like we have the opportunity, maybe outside of the home or outside of our church or some other, theater company. But if our school has that opportunity, not only you develop the talent, you can hone your skills and your craft and the like, but you also can use that as a way to express something, public speaking, presentations. How does CIS help that? And then as you talk about the scholarship program and the like, how does that facilitate those of us who are considering applying?
Well, I would say that the scholarship program facilitates other students that don't attend CIS to be able to have access to the opportunities that we, the students, get at CIS. I would say it's a very unique experience, and for me, it's something that I haven't experienced at any other school, because there's such a wide range of different things that you can explore at CIS, whether you're into performing arts or you're into sports. You're just able to take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah. I have this perception that whether it's sports or service or theater and the performing arts at CIS, those aren't seen as something that you get to when you get to it. They seem to be integrated into it, and if you're spending countless hours rehearsing for the upcoming production, it's as much accommodated so that your academic subjects are understanding. Is that how it is?
Well, yeah, I would say that is how it is. I'm a person that I do the performing arts at CIS, and I'm also a part of varsity sports teams as well. And CIS has the requirement that you need to keep your GPA and your grades to a certain level for you to continue to commit to these teams, so that you don't make too big of a sacrifice to your extracurriculars and your academics end up falling in the process.
Mr. Jim, if I may come to you then, what, Ms. Arena said, as an employee, you want your work to be rewarded. You want your employer to understand. But sometimes we don't appreciate that. Just as you said, the GPA, if your employer is going to give you the bonus, the promotion, you need to perform. That's no different. There may be concessions and accommodations, but only for so long. You know, your dad owns the company, but at some point you say, little boy, you know, but if you stay home, let's give you a check. Here's your trust fund. Because you're not pulling your weight. It's no different, right? That school preparation is only later on as an entrepreneur or as an employer.
Oh, that's so true. That there is, upon the journey, certain milestones and signposts that you need to be able to meet. One thing that's important as you hear the different perspective of the students and us as adults is there may be times when, for example, Rita, she can get a GPA of 3.8 in her sleep.
Yeah, I think so.
And then maybe
I was gonna say 4.0.
and maybe little Jimmy, you know,
3.7.
Maybe 3.0 is something that's chugging on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Studying late at night, and it's important to be able to have that balance and appreciate that. Just because a student is able to earn an A, despite everything, is not enough. If a person's at school, wherever they're at school, it happens to be in our case at Cayman International School, if you're not engaging in those opportunities outside of the classroom, you're missing out on perhaps your greatest learning.
Yeah.
We heard about successes, and Alina mentioned also learning about weaknesses and be able to overcome obstacles, be able to understand that you don't always win. I think you mentioned football when we were talking, and if the last time I checked in the World Cup, only one team wins, and say there's 230 countries playing football, so 229 are not.
Yeah.
And so to be able to overcome, find out what we need to improve, and while you're doing that, to be able to enjoy. We heard the word success used, and I heard it from a joy, a happiness, a monetary, and we were talking about the importance of a family. And all those measures of success cannot be attained just by doing well in math, though it is important to do well in math.
If I would say to all, and especially to the young female students, math is key. You're probably better at math than you've been told that you realize. And it's probably the one language that we all should know. Not just be able to count your YouTube followers and how much money you make, but it makes you function.
Oh, absolutely. And that's one thing that we haven't touched upon is our work in STEAM.
Right.
Yeah.
And so science, technology. I think R should be added in there. So research, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So stream. All right. So it talks about flow and movement. And those opportunities are critical. So our students do have those elective opportunities to provide a path. One thing that's quite exciting is right now we have students working on documenting the blueprints for the catboats.
Awesome.
So making big models, like a model that barely fits into this room, that will be able to provide future opportunities for people to be able to continue refashioning these boats.
This is where education not only empowers and equalizes, but allows the student, irrespective of where they're from, where their parents work, or whichever. If they're in the same space, they become one. And in that oneness, you see a strong sense of unity. So rather from that perspective, I think much is demanded of schools by us in the bigger adult world, whether it's politicians, policymakers, or probably even beyond that, the parent. And we ask of you as an education institution, we want critical thinkers. And then when you produce them, they come home and question us. Did I say more? But that's the beauty of it, right? Because I think in functioning, work in society, it's not just productive. It's actually fulfilling. It's purposeful. So as we close our discussion, I want you to start and share this invitation to education. Like the football team, it could be 1,000 nations playing. The one team will win and walk away with the cup, but the winners are the football fans. So by extension, the winners in the wider community are us who live and work here. When the students are nurtured, when they excel, when they get that success.
Education is the key, 100%. As an educator, I believe that every child deserves this fantastic, strong, wonderful education. And so I'm so happy that CIS does offer our scholarship opportunities, everything from full scholarships to partial scholarships for students to come and be a part of our school. And I'm going to put my plug in for any person who's interested in potentially having their child apply. They just need to reach out to the admissions department. You can call 945-4664 or admissions@cis.ky, and we can take you through the whole entire process and everything that potentially being a scholarship applicant.
Well, I hope all would apply, because in the day they say education expensive, ignorance is even more so.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
I don't say that to disparage people in saying that ignorance is you don't know how to pass a test. It's being willfully blind to what's before you and doing nothing to encourage. Your closing thoughts, Doc. What? Because end of the day, it doesn't matter if we're 10 billion people in the world, or we're stranded on a desert island, or we're like we're taking this vow to walk the desert like the Aborigines and do walkabout. We're still impacted and affected, and what we do impacts and affects others. So, share with us, please.
Wow. I feel like we impact each other every single day.
Right.
And the opportunity for our students to share in their knowledge, share their community connections, and to truly be involved is something that I think they'll cherish more than the math. I was a social studies teacher, I'm sorry.
As long as she said math, she implied economics, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's the best subject.
Absolutely.
But it's math there too.
And the true impact actually doesn't get felt today. We feel it later on. So it's important that the partnership, that's part of who we are as CIS, one of our principles, is felt from the students to the parents to the teachers and the larger community, so that when they are making an impact and they're not just presidents of student council, but potentially presidents of countries, or they're running nonprofits, or we see them on the stage and TV, that we can truly not just be proud of where they are, but understand that we're proud of the entire process that they've gone through.
That's right.
So, yeah.
And that path that they've beat means that the path is possible. So that leads. So, Mr. President, one day your closing thoughts. Thank you very much. I hope I didn't make you too nervous, but you look comfortable, man. I can see you in a tiny coat. Your closing thoughts. What do you want to say to not just your fellow students, but prospective students, and in particular through them appealing to their parents that you appreciate what they do, even when they seem sometimes a little bit too pushy. But what do you want to say to encourage?
To encourage
students to excel, to look at the scholarships, to look at education, and not just be in the moment, but actually make the moment meaningful.
What I can say is that as much as I love to have fun at school, we all have to put in our effort to make school like not only as fun as it possibly can be, but also get our grades good. But I mean, that being said, if you're too focused on the academics of school, you're going to miss out on the opportunity to enjoy what we have to experience.
Yeah, man. Sometimes the E is for excellence. Selena, what would you like to share?
I would say that, we spend a lot of time at CIS, and it's really nice that if you join us, everyone wants you to feel welcome and to feel like you want to be there, not only the teachers but also the other students around us. And we're all one big group, and so it's really a nice place to be. And it's been a long time. I've been there quite a while, so.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you're in a place for a long time. It's probably because either you're incarcerated or you. No, just kidding. No, it's probably because you love it, right? And that's what school is, and the fact that you're enjoying it, it just shows to what our educators are, instilling, and that's important. So thanks very much. Now, Ms. Rooney, to you, your closing thoughts, Mom.
I would say to any prospective students that even if you don't know what you want to do in life, if you're not so sure what path you're going to go down, CIS has enough resources and amazing teachers that will definitely guide you in the right direction and I guess help you discover your passion.
You know, that's the purpose of life. And once you know your passion. Thank you all. One of our listeners, you know, wrote in and said, sing it again, you know, make the world a better place for you and me. We should do that, right? Yeah. Cole, you want to lead us in song? A better place. Come on. And that's what we want to do. I mean, life is not just about, you know, constant work. And that work has to be purposeful. And as much as we are not promised tomorrow, we can make today. I really appreciate you guys coming along and sharing and invite wider, you know, community, acknowledging that these are our children. They're not just the future; they're the today. And what they're going to inherit is because we did or didn't do. So thanks very much.
Thank
you guys
you.
enjoy.
Thank you.
All right. To our listeners, when we return, we'll sort of pivot and focus on the University College and its offering a special lecture series. But you want to know what that is, you're going to have to rejoin us. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Find your dream car with a Cayman National Vehicle Loan. Enjoy 100% financing, up to 8-year repayment, and a 7% fixed interest rate for the first 5 years. For eco-friendly cars, we'll waive your commitment fee. This only applies to new vehicles. Call 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
You asked, and we listened. The Water Authority's new customer portal is here. The new and improved platform lets you manage your account easily and more independently from a user-friendly design. With the new customer portal, you can view and pay your bill online, schedule bill payments, make payments on multiple accounts at one time, manage tenant and landlord accounts, view your consumption history, make service requests, and so much more. The service is also available to tenant accounts. Visit www.waterauthority.ky to sign up today.
Welcome to a new year with Digicel. Elevate your mobile experience by switching to our prepaid or postpaid plans. Enjoy more data, seamless communication, and uninterrupted entertainment. Plus, make the switch now for a chance to win exciting rewards. Stay connected, entertained, and make 2024 your year with Digicel. Because better connections make a better year.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you're remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
Imagine a future where every Caymanian has an affordable home to cherish. The Ministry of Housing is calling on you to help shape this future. Be a part of the Cayman Islands Public and Affordable Housing Policy. Go now to www.cihousingplan.org, the Share My Ideas section, and be heard. Or join in person at public consultations held the 30th of January at 7 p.m. at the Aston Ruddy Center in Cayman Brac. Little Cayman residents may participate virtually. Open for everyone, a special virtual public consultation will also be held on February 1st from 12 to 1 p.m. via CIG TV, YouTube, and Facebook. For more information, contact Public Works at CI Housing Plan at public-works.org or send WhatsApp message to 1332-287-9037. Together, we are building a brighter, more sustainable housing future for the Cayman Islands. Your ideas, your voice, your future. Let's shape it together.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And again, thanks to Mr. Jim Carter and Ms. Rita Parada in particular for bringing along the students and sharing, their scholarship offering over at CIS. But now, from our primary and secondary instruction to our tertiary level over at UCCI, Dr. Livingston Smith, together with not only a famous face in persona, but the indelible presence of Ms. Teresa.
There you go.
Pitcairn. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. I start with you first because I know Dr. Liv being a gentleman, he would say ladies first. How are you, ma'am?
Yeah. So thank you so very
you can
much
put
for
the mic closer if you want, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, just grab it. Pretend it's a mango on the tree. Just jack it down, man.
A sweet mango on the tree. A jula mango.
No, man. I came along mango.
There you go.
And not mango either. I came along mango.
Right.
But thank you for coming on board. And again, publicly, thank you for accommodating us having to start a little bit late.
That's fine.
I appreciate when people are considerate and they understand that sometimes, things happen. So
things happen, and that's life, right?
Yeah.
So I will just start really quickly. Thank you so very much, Dwayne Sterling.
Sterling
Dwayne. Dwayne Sterling.
Oh,
For accommodating us this afternoon. OC accommodated us earlier this morning on his show For the Record as well. And I'm going to leave a lot of the explanation to Dr. Liv.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to touch base on the issues that I really wanted to focus on, because Mr. Orman was such an eccentric person. He's different. I mean, people will say Roy Borden is different. People will say Steve McField is different. Frank McField is different.
Steve Jobs is different.
Yeah, so, Steve Jobs is different from Mr. Embracing, Dr. McField. So he was a special son indeed. Yeah. What I wanted to do at some point in time was to invite the university to engage in study that took a broader brush with Mr. Panton, not just focus on his contributions to participatory democracy, and he was way past his time because he was the one that introduced us getting waivers for the seamen so that when they went over to the United States, they were able to find gainful employment. Yeah. Those are really special things that he did coming from a community the size of ours. I mean, it was no Jamaica where you had all of the types of advancement that they did. Education wasn't what it was, when you compare it to Jamaica and so on. But I wanted to have a snapshot at Mr. Orman, the little boy, because I wanted to understand how that character that he has evolved. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I did earlier this morning was just to share something that he said in the Special Son, because I think that sets the stage for the personality that we have come to know and enjoy and embrace. Yes. And he says, I can't tell you how much it aggravates me why people cannot see this. And when he was saying that, he was talking about British folks. And this obviously is a scholarly conversation. This is not anti-this, anti-that. This is just us talking about Mr. Orman, his experiences and his views. So he went on to say, you have people in this country complaining that every day the position for the Caymanian people is getting worse. That critical decisions made by them where we have no say in the island. Caymanians will tell you that in their own country, the most powerful people the people in the top jobs, they're not from the Cayman Islands. The governor, the attorney general, the head of police, the head of immigration, they're all English. And he says, people complain about these things, and when they do, I tell them, don't talk to me. You're a damn fool. Don't you realize until you become independent that this is the Englishman countries? You can call this Cayman until you are blue in the face. This is not your country. So I know that things have changed since then. I mean, Mr. Orman passed, may he continue to rest in peace, in 1992. So those were his views then, and coming out of his own experience growing up. There was an incident once when he was about 12 years old, and there was a commissioner living on island at the time who walked with a stick. Mr. Orman watched that man beat a Caymanian with his stick, and the guy was drunk, and he just beat him to a pulp. And this is Mr. Orman observing that behavior, right? When he was 5 or 6 years old, he went through, he experienced a number of abuses because he was somebody that was, as we would say, in your face. If you said something to him, you had to justify it. If you accused him of something, you had to justify it. He was not somebody, even at 5 years old, that was just going to sit down and just absorb, people's views. So he must have been playing at some point in time when he was little with his maternal grandparents, and his grandfather gave him a bollocking. The mom actually went to her father. She was so incensed, and she said that, if Orman belonged to another one of your kids, you wouldn't have treated him this way, and you're treating him this way because his father is black. So he was exposed. Even, when you look at Mr. Orman, you can't tell that he's Negro, but as the saying goes, everybody in Cayman that walk these islands have a brush somewhere, somehow. But he was blonde, he was thin, and so on. So when you look at him, there was no indication that he had a Negro background, but it was clearly an issue in our community at the time. So after that experience, and like I say, he was about 5 or 6, he didn't go back to his grandfather's house because, and you imagine a little boy at that age making up his mind definitively that he's not going to do that. And the mom couldn't convince him otherwise, so you can appreciate how that created some kind of, some issues perhaps in the family. And then there's the other incident when he was in school. There are a whole bunch of these. Steve will expand on a number of these. But when he was, again, about 12-ish, and the principal of the school, accused him of doing something, and it wasn't him. And the person who actually did it saw it and said nothing. Mr. Orman withstood a lashing from the teacher and a subsequent lashing from his father, because how parents used to be bringing in front of everybody and so on. And no one said nothing, even though they knew he wasn't the person that was responsible. Again, these are lens of someone who is observing a community around them and observing the behavior. And he was really, really principled. He was not only very principled, but he was not ashamed of being. He knew he had a temper. People call him that, say you could go from A to Z in a minute, because he was passionate. I know sometimes, people used to say to me when I'm on the show that, Teresa, they have a certain description about me. But for me, it's because I'm so impassioned about things that I'm connected to, or I want to have discussed in a manner where the issues are fleshed out. Because you see, in a community like ours that is evolving as it is, and at the pace it's evolving at, the whole idea of free speech is very, very important. And it's one of the things that I admire about Mr. Patton. And this morning I was talking a little bit about John Stuart Mills in the defense of free speech. He felt that free speech takes you from error to truth. Communication helps us to understand each other, and it prepares us for tough, probing questions. It gives you that opportunity to evaluate and compare your own beliefs and understand if they're rational. So you see, this is who Mr. Orman was. And I didn't even know if even though he was really smart, if he understood the propensity for greatness that he carried.
But sometimes
I don't know if he, my son talks about the imposter syndrome where, you're talented and you don't really appreciate it. So I'd like to end on that note because he is such a special son.
Yeah.
He is dignified, courageous, and all the beautiful things we want to see in our community come with time.
Well, Mr. Reese, I know that, because of the schedule change, you have other commitments, but thank you for setting us up nicely. And as we return from the break, we'll speak with Dr. Liv and take it from there.
And I hate to leave you by saying but you've got to run.
He's a big boy.
I know.
I mean, literally.
Thanks, that was wonderful.
All right, we're going to pause, and when we come back, the special series is tomorrow evening. We'll tell you more, so please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Welcome to a new year with Digicel. Elevate your mobile experience by switching to our prepaid or postpaid plans. Enjoy more data, seamless communication, and uninterrupted entertainment. Plus, make the switch now for a chance to win exciting rewards. Stay connected, entertained, and make 2024 your year with Digicel. Because better connections make a better year. From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I go in flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. It's time to mark your calendars once again. It's agriculture time, of course, the place to find your tomatoes, peppers, and thyme. And of course, it's all about the plants that grow yummy food and happy moods. And of course, it all takes place. The Agriculture Show 2024, that's right, is happening on Valentine's Day, February the 14th. Yeah, that's right. Make sure you visit them on Facebook right now or check them out on KaymanAgriculture.com.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
And again, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Universal College for facilitating many public lectures, and I think this one come on tomorrow evening, as Dr. Lisa Smith shares with us, not just the subject, but I think Dr. Smith, the presenter in itself, is indicative of the caliber of people we have. So I know you have to get back, and again, publicly, I thank you for adjusting your schedule to allowing us to start a little bit late. But we'll see you tomorrow evening. But tell us about it.
Well, thanks, Dwayne. So UCCI is engaging in what we call some distinguished lectures.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing this because we want to, deepen the academic environment, we want to stimulate discussion, all of those wonderful things. So we thought that for this time, we would have a commander in mind who would dedicate the lecture to and have an education around that person. All right? So this lecture is dedicated to Ormond Panton. Singularly important gentleman. And so what we're doing is having a lecture that is in his honor. And when you come tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the UCCI Sir Vassar Johnson Hall, you can get a copy of a book of his biography, A Special Son, A Unique and Gripping Life. There are 4 persons who are very knowledgeable about Mr. Panton, who have written an essay as a tribute to him. We'll have that there for persons to get hard copies of. We have done a documentary on Ormond Panton. Many persons have known him, have come into UCCI TV and have gotten interviewed. And so we're going to give a part of that at the event.
Yes.
And persons who were part of the essay competition, we had essay competition for those in the primary schools, secondary school, and tertiary levels. They're going to be given their prizes tomorrow. Right. So the distinguished speaker is Professor Nathan Connolly. He's coming from Johns Hopkins University. And his topic is Letters from the Ancestors, Family History, Political Economy, and the Future of the Cayman Islands. He's a very distinguished professor at Johns Hopkins, and he also has Caymanian background. When you come tomorrow, you'll learn about his background. In fact, when you read his connections, he says that one of his great-grandfather, he believes, was the first person to have a bachelor's graduating from Howard University in 1913. Very unique history. So, again, I'm inviting persons to come to this lecture and come to be part of a conversation, come to learn about Mr. Panton, but come to be part of a bigger discussion that's going on, how we link it to local history. Dwayne, the importance of us knowing our history is critical. Some persons believe that, it's just buildings that show progress. No, self-knowledge, thought, interrogating the past and see how it reflects on current developments. So understanding how society has evolved is also critical. So we're engaging in that kind of deliberation tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm hopeful that despite the capacity, whether it's a stadium, hosting the World Cup or an Olympic game, or whether it's a concert hall or the community hall at the college, it can hold so much. So if not now, if it can be taped and rebroadcast, or even live stream, if that's something your media sciences team can facilitate. Because I think this is where, as you shared, not only the discussion on Mr. Panton, but the presenter,
right,
and the idea that education, right, and our history told by us, through us, for us, is something that we're not celebrating. We don't understand the richness of it, nor its importance. And, it's sad that Caymanians don't appreciate who we are.
Right, and want to change that. I want to rectify that. And that's why part of the education we're having is to go into the schools, for example. Even after the lecture tomorrow, a team of persons are working on material to take to the schools about Mr. Panton and his contribution and the broader picture of Cayman history and society as it evolved. All right? Persons who live here should know about Cayman, how it has come about, and the persons who have played a big role in doing that. So for tomorrow, the guest speaker is talking about a big topic dedicated to Mr. Panton. The lecture is honor. All right? When you come, you can get the book and the presentation around Mr. Panton. So again, I'm inviting you to come out tomorrow at 6 o'clock at the Sir Vassal Johnson Hall. It's going to be really riveting and very important occasion.
But thank you, to coming in. I know you've been very instrumental in these lectures you've used over the years, whether it's a visiting jurist or whether there was a published author. Sometimes it's our very own. And this is where, the academic institution serves as that ground, to make sure the public and the wider community can appreciate, I like your word, the interrogation of history through academic excellence.
Excellent. I want to just say another word about the guest speaker.
Yes.
He is the Herbert Baxter Adams Associate Professor of History at Johns Hopkins. In terms of his background, he's the first African American to be tenured at Johns Hopkins. He's also the director of the program Racism, Immigration, and Citizenship. His credentials include two master's degrees from the University of Chicago and a PhD from the University of Michigan with distinction. Several books to his name, and he writes for the New York Times and things like that. And so he's a very eminent person, and he can speak to that command and background as well too.
Yeah, man. There are many, but anyway, I know despite your pressing schedule, not just today, but through your teaching and administration, we'll have more discussions, and it'll be to instill within us a growing sense of pride in our people, our history, but importantly, what our future promises to be. So, doctors, always a pleasure. We laugh together, but we learn a lot.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. I really appreciate it.
Thank you again.
See you tomorrow, everybody, at UCCI.
6 p.m. tomorrow evening. I'll remind us. And then when we come back, some open line to close it out so we can talk about a lot of things, So stay tuned.
We are Radio Cayman,
covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Health City Cayman Islands and Doctors Hospital Health System Limited announces that they have entered into a strategic relationship involving coordination of highly complex off-island medical cases. The collaboration will solidify Health City as a preferred referral option for Doctors Hospital Bahamas and Bahamian patients broadly, creating structured access to world-class outcomes at a price point that will significantly lower the cost of complex medical episodes for Bahamians. In international news, a dangerous object found outside the Israeli embassy in Stockholm has been destroyed, Swedish police say. Local reports said the incident triggered a major response, with a 328-foot area cordoned off around the embassy to protect the public. Police told the BBC it was too early to give further details on the object. They said no one had been injured. The Israeli ambassador to Sweden said there had been an attempted attack on the embassy and its employees. Police in Canada have charged 4 National Hockey League players in connection to an alleged 2018 group sexual assault, their lawyers say. The NHL players are Mike McLeod and Cal Foote with the New Jersey Devils, the Philadelphia Flyers' Carter Hart, and the Calgary Flames' Dylan Dubé. Former NHL player Alex Formenton has also been charged for the same incident. Lawyers for all 5 players say they intend to plead not guilty. The 5 were members of Canada's World Junior Ice Hockey team when the alleged assault took place. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, Panama, and child, they now have Barbados. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from the 5th to the 10th of February at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you are seeking advanced skin care, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full service and dermatological service practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Discover your dream home with Cayman National's home loan. Get up to 95% financing, repayment up to 40 years, and just a 0.5% commitment fee. Your interest rate? Depending on your risk factors, it'll be fixed or variable. Plus, you get a pre-approved credit card. This is a limited time offer. Dial 949-8300 or email lending@caymannational.com today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Hey, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. And we're going to share a few comments from our WhatsApp as we have some open line here. But quickly, on behalf of UCCI, tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. at the campus, there is a special lecture series focusing on Mr. Orman Panton, and not just only the subject, but the guest speaker, Dr. Nathan Conley of Johns Hopkins, should inspire us to appreciate that our own people not only continue to accomplish great things, but through him, you recognize that there's strong Cayman connection relative to the importance that we have placed on education historically, and the reason why we should continue to put the great emphasis on education. I say this, and I used to say it wasn't a political statement. I'll just say it now, that if it's taken by someone such, let me know. I can either clarify it, certainly can justify it, and defend it. The pillars in our society: strong, robust education, and healthcare, in that order. Because you can have all the natural resources. You can have, like we do, the financial services and the tourism and hospitality sectors. You could have, diamonds or manufacturing or the mining, whether it's gold or oil or the like. But if your people are not educated and healthy and educated, how is that going to benefit them? So just like we're told, historically, that our early people wanted two things, and remember, and the Caribbean, as per the Treaty of Madrid, went to the British primarily with the exception of the few that remain with the Spanish. Cayman, like many, was part of the British West Indies, and for political expediency and convenience, we were administered, as Mr. Mika says, through the Big Island. But there was then, as we saw during Ivan more recently, a very, very resilient and resourceful people who had a sense of independence. As many of us have heard our parents say, we don't beg nor behold. Now, I'm going to speak to that in a second to ask ourselves, where is that pride? Where, are we going when so many of our people have gotten to that space? And I'll share with you something that was so wonderfully penned that I'll read in a second as a second commentary from our listeners. But to share that our people were asking in those early days for two things. A religious minister. They certainly have been presented and perceived, and certainly by practice, very purposefully wanting that semblance of fellowship, and given, the space at the time, the religious preference was the Christian faith, and therefore that's what they were asking for. But education was also a strong ask, and through the church was where the educational instruction sort of emanated. We know, if we look at other societies, whether it's called the village or however it's termed, they would ask of its elders or of its wider community to serve as the educators to their children. Now, two things in point. One, as a reminder from one of our listeners that was sharing earlier, that we have this notion within the Cayman Islands when we're looking at employment, and I can repeat that, but I also want to share a comment from another listener. Do we have a call, my friend? All right, we'll take that call when you're ready. 949-8037, 949-6990, or WhatsApp call 925-32621. All right, let's read this, right? This was a repeat because there's an addendum to it. A caller yesterday was referring to something that a writer responded to, and says, while working in an environment, seeing Caymanians who come back from university and they be putting on a job just to familiarize, with the working of the office, but are given, lesser opportunities and a chance than other people who, either has Cayman status or from other places. There's a sense of, being intimidated, but I should be intimidated, to report these things because, they fear losing their employment, and the government entities, whether it's the Business Staffing Board or immigration or whatever it's called, seems to be, rather nonchalant. This person terms it as being a joke. What they should be doing, the suggestion is to go out, do surprise visits, inspect, see what's going on, and see what's happening to our Caymanian employees in the workplaces. Now, many of the graduates which could potentially contribute to this green dream, they left, they go into other places overseas and finding better employment. And that poses the question, what's the usefulness of our immigration and transitional laws? And as I take the call, this person has added to say that, sometimes it seems that the foreign nationals who hit up the employment, once there's an employee of choice with a foreign connection, that person is given preference over, and the local Caymanian with a, and it's concerning. So let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Thanks for sharing.
Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you today?
I'm just returning from Dr. Foley's, so I'm coming along.
Coming to come. I'm prayerful that will be, not just improvement, but improvement, not just daily, but hourly, so you can see it and benefit from it.
Yes, it will be. I'm Sterling Dwayne. I've lived here for 51 years coming. And I came here from Jamaica. And I went through, because of my age now, 76, I went through all of that time going from British to independence. I understood it all. And I'm saying to Cayman, don't ever even think of going away from the British. We have the best life here, and I have seen what Jamaica has become in the way of all the bad stuff. They still have the geographical beauty, but it's like wasted. And I am telling you, Cayman, you stick with the British, okay? Stick with the British. And all those people that come in on different talk shows trying to brainwash people about going into independence, it just breaks my heart when I hear them, because most of them, none of them have ever lived in Jamaica. Okay? I came here when I was 24 years old. I'm now 76 years old. Okay?
Wow.
So I saw and lived through what happened there. Okay? The signs about last man leaving, lock the gate, real estate being given away. I mean, anybody with any sense could see after how the dollar was going to change and the devaluation. When I came here first, you could use Jamaican dollars here. Look at where it slipped now, eh? Is that progress?
But if I may ask, and I certainly appreciate you sharing your experience, right?
Yes.
But to those who listen, who say, okay, there was the British Jamaica, like there was British Guyana and all other things, now that are independent nations, to the independent Jamaica, some would say, well, at some point you got to grow up and get it on your own. It's in them.
I just ask a question. With me is the experience. Are they better off? They're not better off.
But
you saw on the news this week, NBC, they're asking people not to go to the Bahamas because there's 16 or 18 murders and January not finished yet. You know?
Right.
All these places that tore away from Britain.
Okay.
Individually, ask yourself if they're better off.
But we also know, too, that the U.S. State Department has not only issued its advisory on Jamaica relative to crime, just in the last few days has also added in relation to the health services, the lack of equipment, resources, and medical supplies. Now, many would say there are other issues that are compounded because of the state of the economy globally. But is the problem in, as you reference your personal experience, from Jamaica and being here, these 5+ decades, is the problem that it has become an independent nation? Is it the problem that is the politics and whatever divisions, economically, socially, or otherwise, that have occurred because of, can I use the word management perhaps, the politics? Is that the problem, or is it because it's now independent and there's no overseer? Again, I'm mindful with my words, but perhaps to allow people to get a better perspective.
Dwayne, I can tell you, from my experience, looking back, from a long time, they've been trying to get the poorer people in Jamaica to stop having so many children. And like people say, it's never too late. I am saying it's never too late. The suffering of the lower class Jamaicans is that they have too many children. These children are having to live in deplorable conditions. They just exist. They exist with each day.
Right.
Okay? So they grow up only knowing this hard life and become criminals. They don't want to be, but they have no choice. And I can tell you my family, my immediate family, we raised about 6 families all the time. And guess what? One of them turned around and shot my brother. Because we're accused of being what? Rich.
If I can ask of you though, and only because I know a little bit, may not be a lot, but a little bit more about Cayman, and mainly because this is where, my bread is butter. This is where I lay my head. So can I ask you two things? In the Cayman context, this is the last day of January in this year of 2024. Where are we, and what are we doing to make sure that not only does it not get any worse, but it actually improves? Can you help us to appreciate that? We have history as an example of what we've done and not and what has happened around us. So what do you tell us? I mean, you've had that experience. You've been here.
I have a lot of experience.
Yes, ma'am.
Life experience. Been through it. We need to start in Cayman now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, today.
Right now, huh?
When the young ladies come in and they have a children for this guy and a child for that guy and the next child, just tie them off. I am willing, and like on Sandra's show, to start a fund. Everybody contribute. Third child, second, fourth man. I mean, tie them off. You are breeding up that generation.
But is that part of the challenge, right? Look at the word that we use. You just used it, and I've heard, breeding as if we're, another species. But if in the Cayman context, and I look back to some of the statistics coming, from Jamaica, and perhaps given their resourcefulness and their willingness to publish data, there was something recently shared that, sometimes you don't know the family connection because you don't know who the father is. Are we at risk in Cayman of copying and somehow implementing some of the practices, whether from Jamaica or the US or the UK, or that are not necessarily the best practices in our social lives, in our business lives? Can we not learn from others' mistakes without having to repeat them ourselves?
Sir, I could see it happening here a long time ago. But who is listening to me?
Okay.
I'm a nobody.
So how can we say it so that we hear it before it's too late?
Start with this tying the young girls off. They don't have any education. They don't have any way of minding a child. It's the hard life that turns those children into criminals.
But why don't we also extend that to the young men or the men? I mean, I don't...
Well, you could give me the job for that one.
Yeah. Well, okay. So
because they're ignorant. A man can go to the doctor, and in no time, he can father another child, not because they cut his private dick off. A little bit of surgery. A little bit of surgery. And he can do whatever he wants, and he's sure he doesn't have any more children.
So let me ask. I mean, and there are many who probably listen to you and would applaud you, but they won't do so publicly. And there are probably some listening that would be cringing. But if we have that concern in our society, can I ask from two perspectives then? One, there are those who say to get to a critical mass, we need to grow the population. We need to increase the number of people that are here. So by doing as you suggested, we are not going to increase the population. So is it then that it's not the increased population, but it is the acumen, the character, and the caliber of the people when it comes to, trying to raise the bar?
You want to increase the population of what? Of who?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't want to increase the population of the next one in turn for Northwood.
Okay.
The next one that doesn't know anything, they exist to say, oh, you look just like your daddy.
Okay.
Or, see what you could have. I know I have friends and people. I'm not asking for a fortune. I'll join up with a group, contribute a little at a time to get this done, because we have got to start somewhere.
So let me then ask.
And the time is now.
Right. So in addition to your suggestion that we do that for the male and the female, in order to ensure that we're raising children that are, as you said, not going to be future northward members. Are you also willing to extend that to somehow, when we look at immigration, the people who are coming to a country, despite their age, the country they're coming from, are you also willing to look at it and say, okay, the caliber, the acumen of the people who come in, that there's a certain level that we're looking for, in addition
yes,
to...
sir. And when they started with a visa from Jamaica, requesting visas, I offered that I would go to Jamaica at my expense and issue the visas, interview and issue visas. And the people were taken in from that country, because you can't just put everybody in the same basket.
Right.
We have wonderful, classy, nice, no matter how poor they are, Jamaicans.
Yes.
You can't just paint everybody with the same brush.
Right. True.
But then, we're a small country. We have immigration. Why are we taking in a lot of these people, especially when they get holidays? Some of them, listen to a guy told me, he destroyed his passport because he's never going back to Jamaica. So he searched around until he found a Caymanian to get her pregnant to marry him. Now he's saying, I'm the CEO of my company. And he's brought in every family member.
But then, if that is happening, right, it speaks initially to two things. We, the man or the woman who's aligned herself with that person, needing to be a little more discerning. But then where is, for want of a better phrase, our authorities, immigration or wherever that falls, to properly assess, vet, and somehow, review that?
Well, first of all, Dwayne,
yes,
you see that big grand residential thing gave away a couple of years ago? We will never stop having the repercussions of that. I mean, that was one step that was sick and awful. Okay? Because if immigration ever know this stuff is happening, some people sit at home and they have owned many companies once they get $500 a week from each company. A lot of stuff is not genuine, but nobody wants to call a spade a spade.
Well, maybe time we did.
But who's going to do it? When you look in the background of all these fancy places that giving this and that and the other, who are they? They are the same nationality who got papers to come here. The place is riddled. Anything you want to get done, quick and fast and hurry and no matter what, go to church. Join a church. You see how quick you get a job and you get this and you get that and, anything you want to do. Who are your friends? Well, I don't have any crooked friends that I know of, because you can't sell your soul like that. Right? And you tend to hear all these stories, like that guy. When I heard it, I mean, everybody on his work team said they're related to him. So one by one, he brought them over here. I gave him a job at my house. He was recommended. And the one he sent to paint, you should see him how he paints. He paints over the locks, everything. Which painter is he? He's no painter, but he's here.
Well,
their conduct was quite good. But who they claim to be, they're not. And another thing, Dwayne, for years now, from Barry Corpay Show's days, I'm saying everybody that gets a work permit to come to Cayman should sit and be educated as to what is expected of them here. They just come, they don't know how we live here, They don't know the do's and the don'ts. It should, especially our taxi drivers, they are telling people some stupidness. They should have a quiz. They have to sit. A written quiz. Not just come here and drive taxi and tell people, make up a story of what is the formation of hell. Not make up stories. I mean, and our ministers, sometimes they should just put on a pair of jeans and dress down and go sit in a tour bus. Disguise himself and he listen to what the tour bus driver is telling the people.
Yep.
You know, you'll never know until you do it.
You know, you always share, and I can hear from your heart a growing concern for not just the future of Cayman, but actually, you know, its present. What else you want to share with us, Mom?
Sir, let me tell you something. It took a lot of nerve for me to call in because, you know, some people don't agree with me. I'm born Jamaican, and I wish Jamaica well. When I lived there, I did a lot for tourism because I'm trained that way. But the things I've experienced here, all I can do is just put my hand over my face and say, Lord Jesus. But nobody's listening to me. Everybody goes in there and they're showing off what a big shot they are, but they never think of simple little things. Dress down and go on the tour buses. Nobody don't have to know you are. And just listen.
Yes, Mom.
Listen, drive around casually. Don't be bragging about who you are. And see what's happening out there.
Good advice.
You know, and we still getting it most times right. But we could have pulled up our pants a long time ago. And all these young ladies and men having 4 children with 7 different men and all these children and going to, what do you call the place, NAU? And, you know, they come for you for a job, but they can't tell you who's going to watch their children.
Yeah.
When you see them, they come.
Yeah.
So there's 3 sides to every story.
So true. Thanks very much for having that courage to share with us. And whenever you do feel inclined, please know the invitation is there to share with us. Thanks very much, Mom.
And thank you for tolerating me.
No, that was the easiest part. Thank you for allowing us to listen to you. Have a wonderful afternoon. Okay, thanks. Yeah, as we listen to the lady, hopefully we will not, as she said, disparage her because she speaks her heart. Perhaps we would actually find, as she said, it took courage to share. I don't think she was disparaging, disrespectful, nor doing anything other than trying to find a space where we're not continually divided. She's been there for 50 plus years. She's in a space where she might say, you know what, I don't have to do anything. I have what I have and I can look forward to glory. But she's asking us, are we willing to not only stand in the gap and take up the mantle, but to see what's transpiring before us and to realize that it isn't going to get any better unless we consciously, deliberately, lovingly, willingly do something in a very positive and productive way. If you think that relative to the place is, okay, man, it's still a nice place, it's safe, ask people like her and people older than her who have shared, as she has just did, that things have changed and not always for the better. If it's bad now, can they get worse? Surely. Will it take effort to make it better or at least mitigate, potential negativity? Definitely. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Do we deserve it? Yes. But remind ourselves that we, like in the country, will get the government we deserve because of our apathy, our disinterest, and unwillingness to speak out. Now, you may castigate me and say, oh boy, he's being political. Am I? Socially conscious, perhaps. Definitely wanting a space where, as I age, and my parents age, and my children come of age, it's a place that we love and we can respect. So to the lady's call, perhaps let's take it on board and say if we live here, irrespective if we consider ourselves generational and can trace ancestral links back, or whether we've been given status in some way, are we actually committed to this country? Where do our loyalties lie? And are we willing to work together? That's not naive. It's not even a noble endeavor. It's actually a good sense. It takes two hands to clap, only one to beat at your chest. And if every man does his very best, then, it will actually be a better place. But if you, like what economists talk about, a free rider, let others do the work and you enjoy the benefits, at some point there will be nothing left. You want the fruit, you should take care of the tree. And to men in particular, if you don't pull up your bootstraps and start to work, and people look at you and see you as a no good, no use riffraff, well, that's a moniker that you've earned. Men are better than that. So let's be the example to our sons. Let's be the kind of people that our daughters look to, and when they're choosing their spouses, they'll see somebody of character, somebody of integrity. And if you are, not sure how to improve, there must be somebody in your life that you can look to, here, there, or elsewhere. And if what I've said have inspired you, great. If it's inflamed and offended you, incensed you and enraged you, talk to me, because there's no malice in my words, but there's certainly a meaningfulness and purposefulness in what I endeavor to do. Join us tomorrow for more talk today. I'll read for you the thing I intended to, but tomorrow will be a better space when we have more time. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and